What is important to know is that this video is not a clickbait. So at the end of this video, my promise is that you will be able to see the things I'm gonna tell you in a different way. Because what I'm gonna say to you, you most probably know it. Or maybe you believe that you know, but you know it in the wrong way. Because that's why you're not making the money you would like to make. And I will practically show you how 4 years ago I made that exact amount of money without being a fucking genius. Actually, no knowledge, no team, nothing, and I still printed more than $500,000. How is that possible? You will understand it now. Let's move in the reason why you're watching this video, how I made $497,200 in 18 months with a faceless page that literally was printing money. And I really believe, just for example, just to see this, okay, it's so funny. It's so funny to see this because, you know, I was actually a very big retard. No idea of what I was doing actually. I was learning by the moment we launched this, and I'm like, okay, now I'm gonna be the marketing side. I will understand how to sell more and blah, blah, blah. That's why today, after years and after millions that I generate for brands that I work with in different niches, okay, this is the moment where I brag a bit and blah, blah, blah. But realistically talking is after years, I become more aware of thinking like in that moment and say, okay, which was the thing that make everything different? Which was the thing that helped us into make almost $500,000 in 18 months without any marketing knowledge, without no sales skills, without no idea to build a persuasive copywriting, no sales page, nothing. What's the secret formula behind this? It's just simply two things mainly. Because what we had, as I said, was an Instagram account, a Stripe account, a Notion, and an LLC company that we set it up. That's it. Nothing else. Okay? This is crazy. This was 2022. Now, what's actually very important, and I want you to see this and be like, oh, but bro, you're telling me something I already know. Actually, yeah, you know, but you underestimate this a lot. Because again, this was Italian market, was on trading niche. That is a completely jungle. Because after that, I helped many other people selling. And what you can understand is that why people selling that, when we talk about trading, is that that's the main business. It's not trading itself, okay? But out of this, where I want to focus the video today and to talk through my experience, okay, and to understanding, also thinking back, as I told you, is that the main two things that made this possible was the offer, and now we're gonna talk about that, and the timing. This was the actual two elements that help us into make that much money, and not because it's a lot of money, because 500K in this industry, in the info space, is nothing. But in that years, for the level of knowledge I had, and was my first business, was my first service business I had, I seriously quit my job and I went all in with this. And the first thing I launched, it worked, you know? So it was like kind of a lucky accident, let's say. So being now the person that after years is generating hundreds of thousands, millions of dollars in a predictable way, so I can read data, I can understand why things happen the majority of times. Thinking back, I was like, I should do a video. And actually it proved again how much this is important, okay? And we're gonna see this because when we talk about the offer, most probably, you know this guy right here, yeah? You most probably know it, okay? And when we talk about the offer, we know exactly the main thing important is that you are not selling bullet points, but you have to sell transformation. This is the first very important thing you have to consider. And why I'm saying that it's important to sell through transformation, because mostly for what is the B2C market, okay? So most probably if you're selling on make money niche, okay, most probably your ICP is a B2C. So the B2C mainly buy through emotion, okay? Emotion can be two mains, that is desire and fear and pain. And we know exactly that we work on this. And now I will also break down my offer, but first I want to continue this. That's why it's so important that when you sell the transformation. You sell the moment where they already achieved what they want. Because as we say, transformation means that if we have here Mark, that whatever is your niche where you're selling, this is Mark, okay? Mark have a current situation and a situation point B where he would like to be, where he would like to go. And you understand that this gap is where your offer, where your transformation comes in. So that's why it's very important that you sell the transformation. You never sell the product. You never sell the bullet points, how many hours of calls, support and blah, blah, because people don't care. I mean, logical, they can be like, oh, wow, 20 hours, you know? But also, for example, this is completely wrong because if we talk in a way of perception, the perception of if I can help you with 1 hour of call instead of who can give you the same outcome with 10 hours of call, why you would give more value, you will perceive more value in 20 hours? Because you're there for make money, you're there for learn something. So the one who can deliver to you the result, okay, the one can deliver to you the transformation in the fastest time, in a more accurate way, is the one that get the money. This is also why a lot of people sometimes, when they create the offer, and we're gonna talk about this a lot today, they think about to build something complex, something that have to be, that looks so heavy. Actually, no. The most simple you can do it in terms of communications, how it sounds, but also the transformation, how easy it come to me, that imagine I mark your ICP, most probably I will buy from you. Okay? So now let's move on. What is very important, that's why I was saying Hormozi, okay, about the value equation. Majority of people, I hope, know this, okay? When we talk about the value equation, we have to understand the perceived value, okay? What a person perceived into choose us, into choose our service, our product, okay? That is always based on transformation. On the top of this, we have the dream outcome. So how strong the person that is gonna buy from you can see the destination, so the point B, as something vivid, as something that, you know, is actually real. And for example, also for stay on this line, we work a lot on this through the perceived likelihood. Okay, for example, using social proofs, showing that your method work for yourself. So you have already the destination B. Let's imagine that is for a fitness offer, for the six pack. Okay, you already have a six pack. You will not go to train with a guy. Okay, most probably no. You're gonna train with who have in first person the results that is promising to you. So this is gonna increase the perception you have that this person can help you. The perceived likelihood, as I said, can be social proofs that you can see that another person went in a good shape thanks to this guy, okay, whatever. Okay, this increase. So it's very important that your funnel, your communication, your offer, first of all, is gonna increase this. Now, when we work about the lower part, so the time delay and the effort and sacrifice is where you have to decrease. And it's very important because that's why I'm giving credit to Hormozi, and now everybody knows this. And it's very important because when also you are choosing something, you want to do this transformation, you understand that, yeah, you evaluate, for example, the fact that I want to have the six pack. I see that also Mark had the six pack, so I wanted to, but then I understand that it's gonna require time. I understand that it's gonna require me to go to gym, so to train, to put time and effort, and maybe also to start to eating more healthy. If I don't know how to eat healthy, I will need to take care of that, so I have to learn or to pay more expensive food and blah, blah, blah. It's something that is gonna stop me into be that emotional into make that choice. The point of this video is not exactly about this, because this is just to give you a brief overview, and I really hope you know this because it's very important. You will also find the link of a full video of 53 minutes where I made and I explain the offer and the positioning in a more specific way than this. Now, we understand that the value equation is very important. How to increase the perception of people of what we sell, the transformation that we are promising, the transformation that we are selling. Also, when I'm talking about timing, this is one of the things that now, after years, I learned, and I kind of see all the time the same pattern in different niches. For example, 2026 is AI. What's the pattern I recognized year after year that is actually the proof of how we made this amount of money? And again, guys, it's not about the fucking amount of money we made. Is the individual, me, that made this amount of money compared to the knowledge that required to build a profitable structure in these days. So which was the element that allows me to generate this amount of money without being a super pro, without taking care of the funnel, without taking care of monetizing the backend? Because if I will be with the knowledge of right now, in the moment we had this offer, we will most probably make 5 to 10 mil. For sure. And again, I'm saying this because the offer we had in that moment, with the timing we had, was crazy. So you understand that when you have a very, very strong offer, and when I mean strong offer, I mean that offer comes first everything. It comes first persuasion, it comes first your funnel, it comes before everything. Because it's something that, you know, is gonna break in the head of people and be like, wow, I never heard this. Because again, it wasn't trading, okay? The offer specifically was for traders that were working in prop firms. And we understand that we already know the people that actually become profitable in trading and obtain results. is very little, okay? I'm not gonna talk too much about this, but we all know this. That's why a lot of people compare trading to gambling. I'm not on part of that, okay? I don't believe that, but I agree, and we know by data that 97% or 90%, whatever, of people lose money. So you understand that when we talk about prop firm, that is a way of get more capital and to scale your trading business, people are pretty aware that 97% is losing money. So when we said before that what is important is also the pain point, you understand that if I found a solution that when I talk, I say something, this 90% of the market will look at me, you understand that first of all, I have highest ball, even if my communication, even if my funnel, even if my persuasion is not that strong, okay? So that's how my offer is gonna be positioned as something that they never heard, okay? Well, our offer was very specific because generally was to help traders to get funded. They could literally skip the pain and the 90% of cases that they will lose money, and we came as we're gonna guarantee you that we're gonna do this for you. And we could guarantee it, okay? So now it's very important to understand, because when I say this, it's very important that you listen. I want you to understand that your offer should be perceived kind of illegal. Like literally that it's that strong that people will be like, no, this is not possible, okay? That's why I say that in that moment, we crack the code. We literally find something that the market was like unbelieving that. And we had a guarantee. We were guaranteeing people results, and we were keeping that guarantee. This is crazy. You understand that when you match this combo, so you have to be careful on what you're gonna say to people, because it's based on your delivery, it's based on how you fulfill your service or your product. But if you have a guarantee and your offer is very specific in a very sub niche, so it's not only on trading, it's not only on prop firm, it's in a sub niche, for example, it's gonna be so sexy. That's why I'm saying that it's gonna be perceived as illegal. And trust me, when you have this, you'll have 90% of your business made. Yes, of course, I suggest you to have a very good communication to your ICP, so to your target, to test different angles, to work on paid, to work on organic, to scale it, to have a backend, to have a system, to have a team, whatever. But bro, if you have a very good offer in a specific niche that solve a problem and it solve it seriously, and you can guarantee a result, and they have no effort, so means no effort, guaranteed, fast, you understand that this is crazy. I want you seriously watch this video and be like, oh wow, you didn't tell me the same exact thing, because yeah, I'm telling you that technically the offer is the most important thing and blah blah blah. No shit, you already know this. But I'm seriously telling you to put your focus more into understand that if you have a skill, okay? You take your skill. You understand that your skill is gonna bring an outcome, okay? So you can deliver some result and transform that people we saw before from point A to point B, okay? And this is amazing. Okay, now you have to understand that if this is you, there is other 10 people doing the same. With your same skill, they're doing the same as you. So what you have to focus on is to understand how you can kind of switch the way they're gonna see it. Because even if your input that is putting your skill at leverage, okay, let's imagine you're a trader, you teach people how to become profitable on the markets. Okay, let's imagine that you can do that. Now, once you have that skill, you have to be perceived that what you can do for them is kind of unique. Because if not, also if your offer is like the other, then it's gonna be compared as in price or how many hours of course you're gonna give me and this shit. Instead, when your offer become unique, okay, people cannot say, oh, this is like also another guy selling this. It's not possible. Because in that moment, again, that's why I'm saying that I was a big retard. Because I could make much, but much more money than what I made with that offer if I will have the awareness, the knowledge I have today. So what I was saying is that you have to transform what other people is selling in the same way as something that is unique. You have to be sure that you can bring people to the outcome. If you can put a guarantee, even much cooler. Of course, your guarantee should be even that, more sexy as possible. For example, when we were doing our offer, we were simply, that was so basic, but was working so well. Our ICP, okay, was an unprofitable trader or unable to pass prop firm, okay, to get this outcome. We were able to guarantee the result again. So take this and apply it into your business, okay? But what happened is that when we were getting the person here, okay, so we made already our money. After a month, after maybe a month and a half or something, even less, some of them, they would come back to us. Why? Because they blow the account we passed for them. So let's imagine we deliver the service, they're pretty satisfied of us, okay? And they're gonna come back because by their own, they're gonna blow it. So they're gonna lose all and they have to start again. So this means that the lifetime value of our client was very high. Like it was kind of a monthly recurring business. And this just simply because let's imagine 90% of people lose money. Okay, so automatically by their own, they will come to me all the time crying on pain that they want my solution. Okay, this is how we were felt as this solution, you know. Now, what is important about this, again, as I said before, is that has to be something that is unique, okay, has something that is guaranteed, something has to be fast, okay, and literally less effort as possible. This is the thing you need mainly in your offer. And seriously, think about it. Like, try to seriously apply what I just told you. Even if you partially already know some of this stuff, or maybe you don't know nothing, or maybe you knew everything, okay? Because trust me, you have to put a lot of focus on this, into think how you can position your offer into be unique, into be different, into position that people cannot compare to nothing else. That is fast, that is guaranteed, that is easy. And I know it doesn't have to be a scam. You have to deliver what you can, okay? And you have to be sure that you can deliver that. So you have to promise, you have to promise what you can deliver. But once you crack this, and that's where you should put the biggest effort as a business owner that you want to scale your businesses, etc. Because when you do this, you literally made the 90% of work. Now, my suggestion is that if you're selling online, your expertise, whatever niche, whatever is trading, but even other niches, okay, what I want to tell you is that your offer is the main thing. This doesn't mean that when you start to work, my idea is, first of all, you work in your positioning. So you define your ICP, you define who you're talking to, what type of problem your ICP has, or what type of dreams, desires, whatever is B2C, okay? Even in B2B, but it's a bit more logical. Then second, there is your offer, okay? So the transformation you give. Then we have our acquisition system. So how you get attention, whether it's paid, whether it's organic. Then we add our conversion system. So for example, it can be a VSL funnel, can be a sales call funnel, can be a webinar, low ticket, whatever, okay? Then we have the fulfillment, so the delivery, okay? Actually where you deliver to people. Then here we can add, for example, team and system. Once you have this, I don't expect that if you consider this as your funnel, okay, where you get the money from it, that have to be a 10 on 10. One of the biggest mistakes that people does is that they see all this as something that is not together, something that is not connected. And trust me, it's connected because your offer, of course, it should communicate to your ICP. So your positioning should be accurate for the offer you're selling and vice versa. And again, also your offer should be aligned to the acquisition and your acquisition should be aligned to the conversion. But for example, if you take all this structure, you don't need to have a 10 on 10. You don't need a 10 on 10 for make money. So what is important is that it has to be aligned. Means that you can have a positioning that is a 7 on 10. You can have an offer that, for example, I hope is a 8 on 10. You can have an acquisition that is 7 and conversion 8, for example. Let's stop here, okay, on this. Now, in this way, it's gonna flow very good. You will still make money. Of course, you can get better this, you can get better this, and blah, blah, blah. The point I want to prove here is that imagine that you have instead a 10 on 10 acquisition. Okay, you get the best skill for get eyeballs on your organic content or your paid ads or whatever. Your VSL funnel is amazing, okay? But then let's imagine that your offer is the same as 10 other people, like 100 people out there, because this is the problem. Majority of people are selling the same exact shit, just packed with a different color. That's it. You understand that you can optimize this as much as you want. You can have everything incredible. But if your offer sucks, if your offer is literally shit, yeah, you will make money, but then imagine vice versa. You have all of this that is a 3 on 10, 3 on 10, but then your offer is a 10 on 10. You will print money. And again, this is the proof in how we made $497,000 in 18 months with a faceless page, without no idea of marketing, without no idea of direct response, no idea of copywriting. And this is the proof. This is what I want to prove you in this video and to let you understand that you should put focus, yes, in the whole machine. You should put focus in the whole ecosystem that you want to build, because this machine is what builds a predictable business, okay? It's very important to understand. All this is very important, yes. But this video is about this, okay? And I wanted to prove you why it is. In the next videos, for sure, I will break down the acquisition system, conversion, and everything, because basically it's not just to be cool on YouTube and teach you something, but out of the value I provide you is what I use, is my mantra, is what I build when I build businesses in different niches, in different verticals that prints money. Because this is the way, I think, so that's I hope in terms of delivery you get a good content. Now that this has been said, I see you in the next video, and if you're not subscribed yet, subscribe to the channel, please.